She's so fine. Hell of her blows my mind. Hell of her lights my day.
What's good, guys? Today is Tuesday, December the 6th, 2022. This video will be regarding the Idaho college murders. Now, I've been wanting to cover this case, but I have been really involved in the Shanquella Robinson case. That seems to come to a bit of a standstill for right now, although I'm still looking into stuff. But I wanted to cover this story as well because there is 4 college students dead and nobody has come forward. Nobody can be found that did this, not even the murder weapon. So I wanted to cover this case. Also, I was trying to find a way to kind of lay it all out there. So what I'm going to do is start with the latest news, which came out roughly an hour ago, and that'll be my dive in head first. Now, this article is coming from CNN, and it came out roughly an hour ago, around 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And it says, Idaho police to return slain University students' belongings to families. All right. Moscow, Idaho police on Wednesday will begin returning to their families some personal belongings of the 4 University of Idaho students found slain last month, roughly 3 weeks ago, the department said. It's time for us to give those things back that really means something to those families, and hopefully to help with some of their healing, Chief James Fry said in a brief video statement today. I'm a dad. I understand the meaning behind some of those things, Fry said in answering why he wanted to personally take part in the effort. The items being removed are, quote, no longer needed for the investigation, end quote, the department said. Now here's where it's going to give a brief summary of what has happened so far, what has transpired so far. So this will kind of be my lead in and what I'm going to build off of. 3 women who lived in the off-campus house, as well as a boyfriend of one, were found stabbed to death on November the 13th in the home in Moscow, Idaho, upending a community that hadn't recorded a murder since 2015. The killed students were Kaylee Gonsalves, 21, Madison Mogan, 21, Zaina Kernodle, 20, and her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, 20. And if I'm getting those names wrong, guys, please bear with me. That's a picture of all 4 of those students. Police have not identified a suspect or found the murder weapon, which they believe to be a knife, though investigators have, quote, a lot of quality leads, end quote, an Idaho State Police spokesperson said this morning.
It's been more than 3 weeks since the murders of 4 University of Idaho students, and police are starting to receive toxicology reports on the victims' hair, fibers, blood, and DNA, according to law enforcement, all considered critical evidence from the crime scene. The case remains unsolved. Police still have not found a murder weapon or named a suspect, frustrating at least one of the families of the victims. The father of Kaylee Gonsalves is speaking out, making an appearance on Fox Sunday Morning.
I do not feel confident, and that's why I push the envelope and say a little bit more. I hate to be that guy, but there's a job to do for everybody. Has a job and a role to play, and this is my role as the parent.
Gonsalves saying he is trying to make sense of the information that police have given him.
I can kind of tell by my daughter's texts, messages. She didn't call 911. She wasn't saying anything along the lines of like she had heard something or she was in fear. So I'm just putting the dots together. As far as the investigators, they're very tight-lipped and they're keeping everything close to their vest, and I understand that.
But investigators saying today they are trying to provide information while protecting the integrity of the investigation, saying in a statement, we firmly believe speculation and unvetted information is a disservice to the victims, their families, and our community. The stabbing deaths of these 4 students has created turmoil at the university and in the quiet community of Moscow that hasn't recorded a single murder since 2015. On Friday, at a memorial service, a local pastor read letters from 2 surviving roommates, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funke.
And this is from Bethany. Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan were truly all one of a kind. They all lit up any room they walked into and were gifts to this world.
Expressing the sentiments of so many others who have gathered to honor the victims.
I just want you to know that I will always love you and miss you forever.
And Jake, throughout this investigation, there has been talk that Kaylee Gonsalves may have had a stalker. Well, police came out today and said they looked into an incident in October, and they can confidently say it is not related to these murders. However, they are still looking into the possibility that Kaylee may have had a stalker. They're asking for information and tips on that, just like they are for this entire investigation.
We're still working through thousands of leads and tips, and we have quality information that we're working on. Idaho State Police spokesperson Aaron Snell told CNN about the case that has put the college town of Moscow on edge, with no arrest made or any motive announced. The spokesperson, Aaron Snell, declined to specify what he meant by quality leads and information. His comments come amid frustration from victims' relatives and some in the community over what they say has been a slow release of investigative details. Authorities haven't announced or encouraged a reward in the case, Aaron Snell said, because they fear that will diminish the quality of the future leads. At times, when there is a reward or money offered, the quantity and quality of tips actually degrade a little bit, and people try to provide information that may not even be a reasonable tip, just to see if there's some money available to them, Aaron Snell said, and that's pretty sad and pretty pathetic. Investigators have received more than 2,654 emailed tips, 2,770 phone tips, and more than 1,080 digital media submissions, Moscow police said yesterday, Monday. Asked at what point this would be considered a cold case, Aaron Snell said that, quote, "We're absolutely not there," end quote. Well, he goes on here and says, "We're continuously making progress, but this is a criminal investigation, and as we make progress, we can't always provide that information, and that's frustrating." Investigators believe all 4 victims have been out in the hours before the killings, 2 at a Moscow bar, and the other 2 at a fraternity house, but had returned to the home shortly before 2 a.m. on the morning of the stabbings. Later that morning, 2 surviving roommates summoned friends to the residence because they believed one of the second-floor victims had passed out and was not waking up, police said in a release. Somebody called 911 from the house at 11:58 a.m. using one of the surviving roommates' phones. When police arrived, they found 2 victims on the second floor and 2 victims on the third floor. There was no sign of forced entry or damage, police said. A coroner determined the 4 victims were each stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep when the attacks began, police have said. The manner and cause of death were homicide by stabbing, the coroner said. Detectives do not believe the surviving roommates were involved in the killings, police said. And that is what the article ends on. So, of course, I've seen Kaylee Gonsalves' dad speaking. He's extremely frustrated. Who can blame him? When you're not getting the information that you need, it's got to be frustrating. There's no way around it. And I can understand both sides, but here's the thing. This town hasn't had a murder since 2015. Are they equipped to handle such a case? You got 4 dead college students in a college town. And I know where politics comes into play, wanting people to come back to that university, wanting people to come into their town. But when you've got something like this, it doesn't make Moscow, Idaho a very attractive place to send your kid off to school. So I understand both sides, but really the safety of the students and really the safety of the community is on the line, because you have someone running around your town that has killed 4 people and hasn't been caught. Not even a suspect. So I definitely am going to cover this case. And so this is just my lead in. I'm going to dig deep into this one as well. So I just wanted to put this out there that they are starting to return some of the personal belongings to the families of these students. And I'm going to go from there. So I appreciate you all for watching, and everybody have a great night.